BPM is a journey that a lot of us aspire to take. It is one that we're convinced brings about value. But is that the case really? There are so many instances where I get asked at conferences and at my clients about the actual benefits of BPM. Where are the success stories, they ask me? Well, there are many success stories out there, but how many of them actually delve into practical BPM, stuff that you and I can implement tomorrow and get immediate benefits out of? Sure, we talk about transformation, but it's all about showing a successful journey or successful steps in that journey as we move forward. Today, I have the pleasure of having Nuno Serra from UniPartner, who's here to tell us a little bit more about his successful journey in the BPM space. Nuno is a very well-known consultant in this area and has been doing a lot of improvement transformation work for over 2 decades. Welcome to the segment, Nuno.
It's my pleasure to be here and to share with you one of the projects we have done here in Portugal, which I believe it's somewhat of a unique project and different from the others that we typically do.
Nuno, tell us a little bit more about what this project was trying to achieve.
This initiative started as a project of the Portuguese National Archives, and the main goal was to build a process catalog to support interoperability between government agencies. And by doing this, they were changing the way they defined their activities. Traditionally, they used an organizational and a thematic approach by separating what Ministry X or Ministry Y did, instead of looking at the purpose, at the function that they all perform. And this would lead to creating a common understanding, a common language that could be used as a semantic instrument to connect all the ministries.
You know, we find that connecting people is exactly what BPM does best. So what was it that the goal of this project was when you embarked on it?
Well, firstly, we had to identify, to elicit all the government business processes. And we had to do this in a way that could cover all the ministries of the central government. And also, we would have to achieve a common understanding. So we had to look into the businesses in a way that everyone could agree upon.
Not an easy task at all, I can see, Nuno. But so what is it that you can share with us in terms of the actual positives and impact that your process or your project made on this particular initiative?
Well, the first goal was to have organizations collaborating in the project. They had the opportunity to join or not to join the project at that stage. So we had to convince, and we were able to convince 180 different organizations to join the project and participate. Also, we had a timeline to do this. We had 3 months to build a pilot, and then we had 8 months to reach the other organizations. The pilot we did with 25 organizations of the Ministry of Culture, and the other 8 months we were able to replicate the process we tested with the Ministry of Culture with all the other ministries. And we did that by implementing well-defined cycles. And we had 5 different cycles with different work groups organized, of course, functionally according to the business functions. The result was the identification of over 1,200 business processes. And we were able to do that by talking with 700 participants. And This bottom-up approach was key to reaching consensus about the output, the process catalog. Also, we had to do at the same time a top-down approach to build the macro structure where the processes fit in. So we had to identify the government business functions. Currently there are 19, and we had to divide those functions into sub-functions. And then at the third level, we have the processes. So it was very important to combine these two approaches, the top-down and the bottom-up approach.
Sounds like a huge undertaking, and I'm impressed at how much you've actually achieved. Getting consensus in the government is one challenge that most of us only hope to be able to overcome. But that was just one challenge. What about some of the other challenges that you faced, Nuno, while you were doing this project?
By combining the top-down and the bottom-up approach, we had to reach different people within organizations. We had to find the people that had the overall view of the business, and we also had to reach the people that have a deep understanding of each business process. So it was very challenging to communicate to the organization what kind of contributions we were looking for, and so that they could indicate the right people for each work session. Secondly, well, the ministry that was leading the project disappeared. We had elections, there was a change in government, and we had, in the middle of the process, we had to resell the project to the new leadership. So in the context of changing parties in the government and changing the government structure, we had to explain that what we were doing, first, the functional approach would make the outcome independent of the government organization, because if we are targeting what the government does, it doesn't matter how the government is organized. And that was the key selling point in this change. Also, the large participation base, we had only 2.5 people working in the project, so it was not feasible to keep personal communication with 700 participants. For that, we implemented a portal to convey all communication electronically and to make all the information that we gathered available to all participants, regardless of the organization they belong to or the function they work on. And finally, but not less important, we had to start agreeing on definitions. There is not a clear definition, a common one at least, of what a business process is, where it starts, where it ends, and we had to do that in order to have the processes in the catalog defined under the same rules. And it was also key to achieving the longevity of this instrument.
BPM is definitely the way to go. I mean, we have seen some benefits come out of that, and we've seen some big benefits come out of consistency and having a central place to go to find information. That in its own right is already a big benefit that any organization with disparate, with different opinions, definitions for stuff can reap from. What I'd like to know is, now that we've inspired a few people to think there is still hope in the BPM journey, what other kind of advice can you provide for those who are embarking on a BPM journey? Give them words of encouragement. What would you say?
Well, first of all, it's critical to involve the people that work on the processes day by day. We did that in a large scale elicitation project, and we should do that also in smaller scale organizational level projects. Also, we need to look both at the business view and the IT view, because most of the optimizations that come from these projects rely on new applications and technology. So it's critical to align the business view with the IT view, and how the new business processes will be supported by applications and technology. By the end of the day, we have to deliver new value. And even in projects that aim to create a common understanding, a common instrument, a common catalog, we need to establish clear goals on how to implement and what to achieve by implementing the common instrument. And of course, by having a common process catalog, we are able to digitalize processes and share those common processes between different organizations. We can reuse a lot of the information we produce, and we can provide that as the best practice to implement that process. Also, we can look at the value of information that is produced during the execution of the business process. And when we look at the archives, usually we find lots of information that no longer has value. And we keep assigning resources to store and to manage that non-valuable information. By assigning a business value to the information that is generated by each business process, we are able to more efficiently manage our archives. We can reduce costs, and we can focus the resources we have in the most valuable information. And those were the main goals for implementing such a common instrument.
Wise words there from Nuno. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope our viewers did get some inspirational words and words of comfort, knowing that the BPM journey can be a successful one and there's practical applications for us. Thank you very much for joining us, Nuno. And you can connect with him on his socials. We'll put that information in there as well. My name is Sandeep Johal, and you can connect with me and chat with me directly on my socials, details in the comments. Click like if you like this video and would like to see more in the future. Give us some feedback in the comments of what you think this segment could bring to you in the world of BPM. All the best in your journeys. Till next time.